less than stellar reputation these days. Giuliani himself is a former federal prosecutor, a legendary one, in fact. He's presumably self-aware enough to know that the only thing worse than facing one indictment is facing multiple indictments, which may explain why he could be pursuing a cooperation agreement with Smith's prosecutors. Christy Greenberg is a former federal prosecutor who served as the deputy chief of the criminal division in the Southern District of New York. Lisa Rubin's a former litigator and MSNBC legal analyst. They both join me now. Great to have you both here. Christy, let me start with you just about the reporting on this being a proffer meeting. What does that mean to you? How do those usually go?
So when there's a proffer agreement, essentially it's called Queen for a Day. Everything that you say in that meeting cannot be used against you with a few exceptions, namely if you lie. Also allows the prosecutors to use information you provide to pursue leads. But generally speaking, it provides protection for the person coming in under that agreement.
And the general idea here, Lisa, is that it's a kind of what do you got? Do we want to make a deal? But it signals, right? I mean, you're only doing this if you're interested in a deal, right?
Absolutely. You only do it if you're interested in a deal. And I would say to you, Chris, that Rudy Giuliani is not only interested in a deal with Jack Smith, he's interested in a deal with Fani Willis. And that has to be one of the reasons we know about this. You have to ask yourself, who has an incentive to let CNN and the New York Times know that Rudy Giuliani went in for the proffer meeting? Well, I would venture to guess those are people close to Rudy Giuliani and not people close to the special counsel. Why? Because they want Fani Willis to understand that he is close to potentially cutting a deal with the Department of Justice and try and convince her that it's in her interest to do the same.
Oh, that's interesting. Why? Say more about the logic there.
I think the logic is you don't want to cut one deal if you still have exposure in another.
Certainly
place.
not. It's like, oh, great, now I'm going to get indicted in Fulton County.
And Fulton County might be a worse place to get indicted, not because the crimes necessarily carry more time, but if you think about serving time in a Georgia prison versus a federal prison, the Department of Justice knows full well how bad Georgia prisons are.
Yeah.
They are in the middle of a civil rights investigation into Georgia prisons, as our colleague Joyce Vance reminded me earlier today.
So, okay, so let's say there's a proffer agreement going on here, right? And he's talking about cooperation. So now my question to you, Christy, is on the privilege question. So we've already seen privilege pierce. I mean, Trump and his lawyers is like a whole thing. And I think we could all agree, like, unlike anything any of us have ever seen. Like, I've never seen someone and their lawyers have this much legal exposure ever, right? Fair to say. Michael Cohen, you got Evan Corcoran, right? So we know that, a federal district judge found that it was more likely than not a crime had been committed between Donald Trump and John Eastman and issued a ruling to pierce attorney-client privilege there. They were able to pierce attorney-client privilege in the case of Evan Corcoran in the documents case. In this case, can you voluntarily cooperate against your own client?
Well, a lot of what they are looking at for Rudy Giuliani is not legal advice. In fact, the White House counsel's office told him this whole fake elector scheme is blatantly illegal.
Right.
So
you're saying it's outside the purview.
It's not legal. If it's not legal advice, and what they were actually doing was engaging in a political strategy to try and overturn the election. There's ample evidence of that. When Rudy Giuliani had his law license suspended, the 33-page opinion goes through a litany of all of the false statements that Rudy Giuliani went into that were factually false and that he knew to be false. Claiming there were dead, voters, that there were unregistered voters, non-citizens, all of it nonsense. The pressure campaign to the state officials, all things that Rudy Giuliani acknowledged were not legal, but that he was going to give it a go. So I don't think attorney-client privilege is going to save him or Donald Trump in this circumstance. It's just blatant fraud, blatant, attempts to defraud the United States.
Chris, can I add one thing there? The other thing about Rudy Giuliani and his conversations with Donald Trump where privilege doesn't come in is obviously where somebody who's not within the scope of that privilege is participating in the conversation. In your lead up to our conversation, you mentioned that text that
from the Nevada.
Correct, where he said, I was on the phone with Mark Meadows, Giuliani. This is full attack mode.
This is not privilege.
Correct. It's not a privileged conversation. And theoretically, Giuliani was privy to multiple conversations that are way outside the bounds of any attorney-client privilege that could have attached.
Okay, so there's two more questions I want to get to here. So one is pace. I mean, I'll follow up with you, Lisa. The subtext that hangs over all of this, of course, narratively is like, what's going to happen, right? We don't know the future, so we try as best we can to divine. Does it say anything to you about the pace or the trajectory or where the investigation is if they're having this proffer conversation?
Not necessarily. I mean,
Yeah.
it suggests to me that it's ramping up in some way. But how close we are to the end, I don't think anyone can say. Chris, you know, I was in Miami leading up to the Trump indictment and the records investigation. I saw Taylor Budowich outside with his lawyer, Stan Woodward. He is arguably one of the last, if not the last witness to go into the grand jury before that indictment came down. If I had had a bingo card and you had asked me, you know, put your money on the person who's likely to be the last witness, Taylor Budowich. Correct. So I don't know how much we can divine about how close we are to the end. Certainly, getting more cooperators is a sign that things are ramping up.
Let me ask, can I ask you a legal theory?